Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Eugene here. I am recording this right now on November 2nd, 2020, the day before the most important day in our government's, tenure, and that is Election Day. And by the time this goes out, we've already selected our candidate for presidency, whether it be our current president or the vice president. And I really hope by the time of this recording, we as a people have really put our voices out there to be heard. The past 4 years have been eventful, tumultuous, tiring, just overall different. And not to mention with everything happening just this year with the pandemic. I hope that everyone who is eligible to vote went out to vote, made their voices heard, even though they were questioning the validity of their votes. I hope everybody went out there to vote, either did early voting, actually stood in line at the polls and voted. I really hope you exercised your right as an American citizen to vote. This election is important, as well as every other presidential election, past and present, are important. But no matter who were the candidates, I hope you went out and voted on November 3rd. And whatever decision was made, whatever it ended up being the result, just know that we as a people here in the United States of America can prevail, and we can thrive, we can strive, and we can move on, and we can be stronger as a nation. Whatever trials and tribulations, whatever setbacks, whatever dark days have come and gone, we as people can still prevail. So once again, this is going out after Election Day. I hope whoever was eligible to vote did go out and vote, whether early voting, mail-in voting, or actually going to the polls. I hope you exercised your right as an American citizen to go out and vote for our leader, and we will prevail. No matter who won, we can prevail as people, and no matter what, we can get through this. No matter what leader sits there, we can get through this. I am Eugene from Eugene Reviews, and I approve this message. Salutations world, welcome to another episode of Eugene Reviews. I am Eugene, and to keep up with the theme of the most important day in our government's tenure, I decided that today's movie that we are going to go over is the 1999 cult classic teen comedy, Election. Now, Election was a relatively unknown teen comedy that ended up being a cult classic, and it starred Matthew Broderick and an up-and-coming Reese Witherspoon. It all revolves around a student council presidential election and the events that took place in different points of views all throughout the leading up to this election. And being we're just fresh off the most important day of our government's tenure, I figured let's look at this film as a way to kind of, soothe the wound. I'm not sure. Make us feel better. I'm not sure. Once again, this is being recorded on November 2nd, 2020, and it's due to be out on the 6th, so it's going to be past the election day and the results of election day. So, just in case Trump won, here's my response. All right, great, 4 years of this shit. Here we go. Just in case Biden won, here's my response. All right, great, 4 years of this shit. Here we go. Although this came out in 1999, I didn't see this film until, not gonna lie, this past weekend, just to get ready for this video. So after my initial viewing, let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 acts, the development, the execution, and the response for Election. Act 1, development. Election, take 1. So Election is actually based on a novel by Tom Perrotta, and Tom Perrotta based his novel on 2 significant events. There was the 1992 presidential election, in particular the third-party independent candidate Ross Perot running for office at that year, which is a reflection of Tammy Metzler's character in Election, and a 1992 homecoming voting incident in which staff and advisors at a certain high school rigged an election for homecoming, in which they were caught fixing the votes and preventing a certain student from winning either homecoming king or queen. What was unique about this, especially director Alexander Payne's perspective on this, was the different points of views that he showed throughout this film. There was different narrations and there was different sides of the story, all revolving around this incident, from Matthew Broderick's character, from Reese Witherspoon's character, from Chris Klein's character, to his sister Tammy Metzler, her perspective. And also noteworthy was the alternate ending of the film, which was actually faithful to the adapted novel. The incident in which Matthew Broderick's character throws a drink or a slushie or something at the back of Reese Witherspoon's vehicle. Instead, in the novel, Broderick's character stays locally and becomes a used car salesman. And Broderick's character meets Tracy Flick, Reese Witherspoon's character, years later as she's getting a new car, and both reconcile their differences, and she has him sign her yearbook. So a very different ending from the original ending that we got. Both are intriguing in different ways, but they stuck with the one in DC. So a couple key points. Once again, the alternate ending that stayed faithful to the book, the inspiration from the novelist, the inspiration of Parada using the 1992 presidential election, as well as a 1992 homecoming voting incident, and Alexander Payne's unique point of view perspective on 4 of his major characters in this film. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and hit Act 2. Act 2, Execution, Election, Take 1. So to kick off kind of the impression that I got from the story from Election, it's an enjoyably funny movie. There's a lot of quirkiness to it. I mean, kind of what you would typically see on a coming-of-age teen comedy, especially in the 90s. But the one thing that really did get me was this sparkling, enigmatic performance from Reese Witherspoon. And come to think, this was before Legally Blonde. So if anything, if people wondered how Reese Witherspoon got Legally Blonde, you could look at past roles back in the 90s, especially this underrated gem in Election. So much so, I think this earned her a Golden Globe Award nomination for Best Actress. I did mention about the point of view and direction. There is a uniqueness to it. I do think that Alexander Payne does a swell job really giving us narrations of points of views, albeit maybe too many points of views, but it was still good nonetheless to get a feel of the entire room, of the entire setting, environment, if you will, of Election. Like I said, it has a good amount of laughs. This is a funny movie that have some good little quirky moments that you would expect for a teen comedy. But overall, I think it's the structure of the story and kind of the extremities that it displays that makes this film kind of a cult classic. So much so that I think it's a good metaphor of how society was then and how it is now. You see really the extremities of both sides of the spectrums, different sides of the spectrums when it comes to candidacy or comes to leadership. You know, you've got different views of how people really kind of become one with the situations. Like I said, it is a reflection of what society was then, and it still is a reflection of what society is now. Overall, I think it just has a unique layout and really, you know, a small, local, yet big in scale type of metaphor and overall impact when it comes to elections, when it comes to kind of a political commentary in a sense. I think overall, this film does a good job in giving us unique perspectives from different sides of the story and really kind of making us feel cloaked into what was really kind of going on in this community. So once again, the story is unique, and I think it does a great job of making us hone in on the overall identity of each of these characters, as well as the setting that it's being showcased in. It's a good amount of laughs for a teen comedy, coming of age film, especially in the 90s. The points of view, perspective, and narration from, you know, major characters all throughout the film was a good touch. And then I think finally the most important one was the gem of a performance that got her Legally Blonde for Reese Witherspoon. All right, short, sweet, simple kind of perspective on the story. And now let's go ahead and hit Act 3. Act 3, Response, Election, Take 1. As far as its box office performance, Election really didn't perform up to par. On I think a $20 or $25 million budget, the film only made $17 million in the box office. So some would call that a box office bomb. However, what it lacked financially, it made up critically in its praise and its overall acclaim. The film does hold a solid, fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I want to say on like a 91, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it does have a cult following as a very underrated teen comedy in the 90s. When you had films like American Pie, She's All That, 10 Things I Hate About You, all of these other films that came out in the 90s that were rom-coms, teen comedies, people tend to forget about this other teen comedy known as Election. And I think that there is a cult following that gets bigger and grows each and every single day because they realize not only how significant Reese Witherspoon's performances, but they understand the significance of the story and the characters that took place in the film. As I mentioned, it got a lot of awards and nominations. Particularly, Reese Witherspoon got nominated for a Golden Globe Award for her performance. And the film, insofar, even got an Academy Award nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay, even though it didn't win that year. So overall, there's, positive responses all throughout. There's cult followings to this film that, still grow to this day. Though it didn't perform well in the box office, it did showcase very well in the awards during awards season. Even though it didn't win anything, it was recognized for kind of the uniqueness of its direction, its narrative, and its performances, once again from Reese Witherspoon. So, quick response, really kind of short and simple. Let's go ahead and go to my verdict for Election. Election is a fairly good film, borderline great film, in my opinion. I think that, you got great performances with Broderick. Chris Klein even does a good performance, but most importantly, you got to give it to Reese Witherspoon for her pompous, enigmatic, and very, very unique performance in Tracy Flick, a character that I still think resonates with a lot of people in our society today, as well as the other characters resonate with a bunch of characters and figures and individuals of today. And it's a timeless, generational type of story that can be shown for many, many more years to come. Even though it feels very low budgeted and small in scale, and it is in some ways small in scale, I think it's still an important film that really highlights the extremities of candidacy and the overall aspect of voting for our leaders. At a time like this in 2020, where everything is so uneven and it feels so hollow, I think watching this film is a good and unique perspective to see where we are as a society, as a nation, as a whole. And I think that, no matter what happens in our future, we just have to know that we can control this. We can control this. And I know this may not go and reflect, the film, or maybe I'm going too far into my perspective on the film, but I think that Election does open up that kind of perspective and that overall impression that no matter how extreme these candidates and how bizarre it may be, we can control the narrative. We can do that. Overall, this film has great characters, and I think it showcases a unique point of view that Alexander Payne really did display with the multiple narrations, the multiple POVs, and I think it's effective, and people should really give this film a chance, even though it didn't really perform well in the box office. It wasn't really well known in the box office. Just give it that time and effort and impression, and I think you'll get, or an eyebrow raiser too. It's that kind of film. Unique and remarkable performances, unique and remarkable, story and perspective, and just the generational, awareness of our society and our satirical highlighting of our candidates, past and present. I'm gonna go ahead and give Election a very good 8.1 out of 10. So the results are in. That is my perspective and my review for Election. What did you guys think of the film? Have you ever even seen Election? Just like I haven't seen Election until recently. If you haven't, please, I urge you guys to take a chance and watch this film. It's available on Amazon Prime. If you have a Prime account, or if you have a friend who has a Prime account, go watch it now. Let me know how you feel. Jump in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on the film. If you liked it, if you hated, if you have any interesting takes or unique perspectives on this film, I'm all eyes and ears. Any and all comments are welcome. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Eugene Reviews for links to my other YouTube reviews, or you can just look throughout my entire YouTube channel to see my other reviews. But you'll also see on my Instagram recommendations for the month. You saw October's recommendations. I'm gonna have some unique recommendations for the month of November following up soon. But until then, please, help and support this channel, get my word out there. As I always say, I hope you guys enjoy watching this as much as I'm enjoying doing these. It's unique and fun, and I can't wait for many more of these to come, especially going into the holiday season for sure. So thank you again for tuning in. This has been a blast. Once again, I know you're watching this after the election. If you are watching this after the election, just know that no matter what the result, no matter what the verdict is, no matter what candidate comes out on top, just remember, you need to give these candidates a chance. No matter how, extreme left or extreme right you may view these candidates, they're not idols. There are representatives, there are leaders. If we don't like these people, we can voice our opinions about it and we can change the government as we see fit. That is the power of the governed. We can change how our leaders are. So let's give these people a chance. They have 4 years to show us what they can do. And if they can't do that, we can change that up in 4 years. We can do that. We have that power. So even though you may feel like your vote may not have power or any type of weight, just know that, your voice matters. That's why you hear people pushing, vote, vote, vote. It is your right as an American citizen to vote for a leader that you feel like has the best criteria to lead us as a nation and build a more prosperous, better, harmonious nation than before. So whether it's Biden or Trump or whomever is going to be in office, let's give these people a chance. Let's see what they're made of. Let's see what happens when they're on the clock, backs against the wall, under pressure, because pressure makes diamonds, and we can control the narrative. Let's remember that. We can control the narrative. And if we can control the narrative, we can build a better United States of America from here on out, because we as a people have that power and we can prevail in this. I know we can. And if 2020 proves anything, with everything that's happened, from hurricanes to pandemics to social injustices, it proves that we can withstand anything as people, as a sovereign nation. We can prevail. I believe in America. Okay, I got carried away. But anyways, hope everyone went out and voted and worked and exercised their right as American citizens to vote. And remember, whatever results follow, let's work around it. We as a people can be strong, and let's give these people a shot and see what they can do for us for the next 4 years. Until then, this is Eugene signing off for yet another episode of Eugene Reviews. I will see you guys again next week for another brand new episode. And that is a wrap.